Hey everyone, I'm Clue. Lucky last Dusk Till Dawn case. For now at least, right? I don't plan on opening more. This should be case 13, and then I'll just set aside 2 cases for the future. Again, I'm not a seller, right? I don't sell singles, I don't sell cases. I just hold and then open when I feel like opening, right? I just enjoy opening for the sake of opening. So yeah, last Dusk Till Dawn case, at least for now. Again, I've given my overall review and thought of the set. Altogether, you know, it is a good set, right? I'm not saying it's a horrible set. I'm not saying it's not worth opening, but in the purview of it being, you know, the 10th milestone set, having all these big chase elements and everything, it does fall a little short, just because it does seem to be a bit of an amalgamation of a few different ideas, if you will, right? So it expands upon Monarch. At the same time, it introduces the new Prism, the new Rune Blade, and then it has this back end of mix-mashed just check-in cards, or just lore-relevant cards, so to speak, right? The Soul Oldhim cards, Soul Lexi, all those singular cards are there for the sake of the lore presence, right? With the exception of probably the normal Runeblade cards, because, well, they're there to break up the effects of the Blood Cheat Skelter. But I'm curious what we can find, if there is anything good in this last box. Overall, I think I've got three of the Archangels. It's not so bad. Well, technically I have 4, but I mean 3 different copies, because, again, I like opening sets of things, so you know, if I can find the FaBe, it'd be great. If I can find the Archangels, are great. And then, obviously, at this point, I have playsets of the Majestics, I have playsets of Rares, Commons, so I'm just going to buy whatever I'm missing, right, to complete my master set. Okay, in terms of feel, right, that's another big thing that we sort of touched on. Sheath that so I don't accidentally stab myself. Okay, cycling through the cards, right, the commons a lot, because of, again, how much you're opening. It's not draftable. 7 cards, right, you're going to find or see all the commons by the time you open your first box. So at that point, it does get very repetitive, and you do lose interest in enjoying the art, right? Again, I've done lots of boxes. First box, by far took me the longest. Second box, shorter and shorter and shorter. As I have seen all the cards cycling through, and I no longer am interested in seeing them. I want to see my Majestics. I want to see the foils, if you will, because the foils are still hard to find. And then in terms of rares, you have the same issue, right? A big chunk of the rares are tied up in the Herald slot. So you do actually cycle through your rares quicker than most other sets. I'm not gonna separate them, right? Even the foil, I don't need at this point, right? Unless it's rare. No, even the rares, I'm pretty sure I have playsets just not completely sorted. I might have to dig through. Generally speaking, right, my mentality is in a box or 2, you can find all your commons. In a case, you can find all your rares, and then obviously it'll take a lot longer for your Majestics and your foil sets, if that's what you're after. But yeah, so I think a case is probably a sweet spot if you want the majority of cards to play with, right? We do get our first Herald of Rebirth. Getting a playset of these, though, now that is the big chase, in all honesty. I'd like to compare them to the foiling in Monarch, right? See where they sit. I haven't looked at price or anything like that. Starstruck, first M. Again, I don't really need them, but they are worth setting aside, right? Generally, I'll roll over my extra cards into boxes of the next set, right? Again, I don't list on like eBay or Marketplace, I think is the go-to for Australia, but I'll just ship them off to a LGS, get my store credits, and then roll that into the next set. Nothing in that pack. Also, hopefully, mic is a little bit better. Is it picking up the pack? Sort of. So I have a pop filter over the top of it, and that usually is enough to protect it from the pack sounds. But I've tried to space it so packs are on this side of the mic, and then I'm on the other side of the mic. Second Majestic, Beckoning Light. I'm also interested to see, right, because I'll do pricing for these boxes, since at this point in time, I think everything has leveled out. So it should be fine to look up prices and, you know, be somewhat accurate. Not bad, right? First few packs in, and I already got 3 of our 6 Majestics off of the pull rates. Curious. I'm also curious, right? Where do you stand with Dusk Till Dawn? In terms of a lot of things. Right, that's a very open question. Let's narrow the field a little bit, right? Print run. What do you expect? What would you like to see? Again, I was all in on the 250 to 300 range, right? 288 was my fair estimate off of pull rates of Marvels and Fables. But in reality, I'd like to see a much smaller print size, right? 100,000 to 150,000 would be a lot nicer to me, given, again, the amount of spread, if you will, or thinness within the set, right? Because again, if we use the legendaries as the prime example, how many copies of each legendary rainbow foil should be floating around to accommodate play? And yeah, you think of that, and then use that for your print runs, rather than just speculating, oh, we've had X growth in the player base, so we want X growth in the product, because that can't work, right? That mentality can't work in the long run of Flesh and Blood, because again, the product does not target I should say the majority of the demographic of players, right? Especially Dusk Till Dawn, non-draftable, so the whole, if you just play limited, if you just go to events, that's all out the window. Then you've got, obviously, just the 4 core heroes that are primarily targeted, and then the splash of extra cards. And even then, some of the extra cards, yes, they're worth picking up in terms of just buying singles, but you wouldn't go pack hunting for them, right? Figment of Rebirth. Still, Angel side, I think, is the prettiest. Rebirth, again, not to fault the art style, right? Nothing wrong with that, it just, I don't think, meshes well. Especially the color palette. I think if they've gone, all greens or somewhat in the middle, turquoise or aqua, right, it'd be a bit better, but it is a quite high contrast between the two sides. We'll kind of face up. Yeah, even the pigments are the big chase element, right? How interested in them are you? If you don't play Prism, do you still want the angels? I mean, I guess if you like angels, you'll probably go for them. That's the whole appeal with the dragons, right? But then, again, unlike the dragons have room to be used in any draconic illusionist that comes out. Dromai get Prism Legend, right? They don't have to think up a ability that builds them in. The new Prism, figments are completely tied to the new Prism, and that is something I don't like. Like Darkness, this is another somewhat sore feel, right? So there is 12 pieces of common equipment, right? I know the frontline stuff is rare, but I will say it is common because it is the common power level, if you will, to me at least. So cycling through those 12 cards as the majority of your comp force feels really bad. In all honesty, right? So many boxes have one of those 12 pieces, and it is a bummer to see. Especially in this case, the Radiant. The Darkness is a bit better because it's dark on dark, right? But in the Radiant, again, I don't like how grey it makes the really white, bright base card, right? So yeah, the feel overall of packs is an interesting one, and it'll be curious to see how Dusk Till Dawn goes down in history, especially with the volume of boxes that are probably left. Again, this is going to be by far the most open set to begin with, right from the get-go, and the fact that it's out of print, right, so you don't get restocks, you don't get reprints, isn't curious, right? It'll either go down as loved and cherished, as a joy to open, or as just an experiment. And either way, right, it's fine with me. Just curious to see where they go to next. I mean, we got spoilers for Metrics, right? It's another interesting bag. At least it will have the benefit of being draftable. In fact, it'll be highly draftable because of their new gimmick, their new mechanic. Same with the limited format. So that is a plus in it, despite the fact that it does appear to be heavily mechanologist themed. Yes, how can they do the new draft, the crack shop of play with 3 packs, if there are some other cards in there, right? Some dead cards. They need, essentially, every card needs to either have mechanologist or generic on it, right? It can be mechanologist brute if we want to go down that route of class combos, but it does have to feature mechanologist or generic for it to function within their new draft setup. So that will be interesting. Again, a set that I think will be highly cherished or highly just passed upon, right? If you're not big into mechanologist, if you're not big into the mech design or the futuristic design, chances are you're not going to touch it. You'll probably pick up cards of interest or relevance to play, for instance, but by and large, you might not open the set, right? Sort of like Outsiders. The themes of Outsiders didn't mesh with everyone, especially, again, right, the comparison between the 3 core classes in that, all having very similar playstyles, with the exception of maybe Ranger, but again, they're all sort of death by many cuts, so to speak, right? So even in Ranger, well, in case of Azalea, right, you have a lot of turns where you want to set up and then combo out, right? Same with Assassin, same with Ninja from my perspective. So in that regard, the flavor or the feel of that set didn't mesh well with everyone, and it's going to be the same for Bright Lights. So again, curious to see what they do with it, curious to see how they rein in the print run, and again, the overall attitude towards it by players in terms of opening, right? You can love the set, but again, if it's not opened, if it's not bought from LGSs, if it's not a good seller for Legendary Studios, that's where the issue arises. Ah, there we go. Widespread Destruction. This is a bit annoying though, right? So I have Ruin, 2 copies, and now I have 2 copies of Widespread Destruction. I'm missing the third one. But in terms of this, right? We did the math. I don't know if this is coming out before or after, but 78 packs. Per 78 packs, you are meant to find either extended art, Marvel, a cold foil, extended art, no, sorry, FaB, there we go, or a serialized art card, right? That is the pull rate left over if you subtract everything else. So there is value in opening large quantities, right? But at the same time, the amount of cases I've had where the 2 cold foils that occupy the common slot have been the same cold foil, oh, feels bad. Feels bad for me, right? It feels great in terms of the fact that, you know, we're seeing the best randomization yet for the product. But yeah, I don't know. It sort of seems like there's higher incentive to go to a whole bunch of different stores and pick up a whole bunch of different boxes or loose packs and see what you get that way. Right, not too bad. We got 2 Heralds, take it. Still working on that in terms of the master set. Then we got Widespread Destruction, extended art. It's pretty good. Cooldown Lightning as our other foil M. Then in terms of the other M's, we got Radiant Force Field, Avalon, Lost in Thought, Widespread Ruin, Beckoning Light, and Starstruck. How many is that? 4, 5, 6, right on the money. And then our cold foil was just a Cloak of Darkness for the first box. Hopefully we can find something better. Amongst the case, I am probably going to let this drag out. Right, if I do 1 a week, that is till September. And then, you know, we can probably just cycle into talking more about Bright Lights, right? I think that should be decent pacing. So, yeah, enjoy the slow burn of Dusk Till Dawn now that I would honestly say the majority of people are probably done with it, right? Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Continue our discussion in the next one. See ya.